Welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. Last time we learned a lot of the lore and we met with our future crew, and we also learned about who we do dealings with in this system. And I'm hoping that after this, hopefully we can just finish up the lore and then maybe start our first mission in this episode. If not, this might just be another lore episode, but I don't mind as long as you guys don't, because it's cool, the lore to me, to learn about the environment and the people and what's going on. And yeah, and also it kind of gives me an insight to what I'm going to have to deal with later in the game possibly. So anyway, we finished up a lot of the crew here on the main deck. We're going to start with Jocasta Sourback. Greetings, Lord Captain. How did you come to serve on my flagship? I come from the noble Sourback family of the capital world of Dargonis. A lot of people from Dargonis. I dare say that our house is renowned for its loyalty and strict adherence to the law, and the members of my family have been your faithful enforcers for centuries. I am honored to be the 6th Master-at-Arms named Sourback to serve on the ship. Why are you here instead of basking in luxury on Dargonis? Because of my cousin Macarius. I cannot stand him, but the feeling is mutual. We can hardly be in the same room together. So I jumped at the opportunity to become your enforcer. I should thank my obnoxious cousin for nudging me towards the best decision of my life. I serve you with all my heart, and wish for no other fate than this one. Why are you wearing Imperial Navy armor? How did you come by it? I inherited it from the previous Master-at-Arms. Like the esteemed Seneschal, From the esteemed Seneschal, he left the Navy to serve Lady Theodora. He brought quite a few officers with him and established a tradition. Upon the death or resignation of an enforcer, his or her armor would be passed on to a fellow officer who had distinguished themselves in the course of their duties. I was awarded armor in this way in my time, and upon the death of my predecessor, I inherited his personal armor. What is your opinion of me as Lord Captain? I would dare not form opinions about your lordship. That would be unforgivably brazen of me. My duty is to serve, not to evaluate. I want to know what you think of the other officers. I do not trust them, but I do not trust anyone. Mistress Toloman has too much power and will surely be tempted to start deciding for herself what information to share with the crew on your behalf and what to withhold. Ravor is closely intertwined with the ship's systems, which opens up plenty of opportunities for sabotage. He must be watched. As for Danrock, forgive me, but a man of his size and habits cannot help but steal. What can you tell me of Abelard? The Seneschal is a model of competence and fidelity, and all of the officers and enforcers look up to him with gratitude. It is all the more distressing to see that the years have not been kind to the deeply respected Master Werizin. Soon there will be no rejuvenant treatment that can save him from the mistakes inherent in such advanced age. But we are ever watchful, and will be there to steady the trembling hand of the honored veteran if need be. I need to know more about your service. What are your duties? I am responsible for upholding safety and order aboard the ship. Guard duties, patrols, finding and punishing troublemakers. In addition, my enforcers ensure that the crew follow all directives and carry out their tasks properly. As they say in my family, a servant who shows disobedience today prepares a riot tomorrow. There are thousands aboard this vessel. How do you maintain order? 2 words, Lord Captain: suppression and fear. The base nature of this rabble cries for an iron grip, lest they give in to their animal urges. We have many well-tested measures to prevent it. Random night searches, preventive interrogations, corporeal punishment, and executions. Of course, the laws of the ship equally apply to the officers. We eradicate the canker of insubordination wherever we find it without mercy. I hope you will not repeat the mistakes of the previous Master-at-Arms. You can be sure of that. He was a fine enforcer, but he suffered from the fatal flaw of trusting his associates. I myself lack that weakness, and trust no one except you, Lord Captain. Okay, I guess that's it. I think that's everyone on the main bridge. Oh, Idea's here. She rubs the implant at her collar. About your abilities.
What are you talking about, Lord Captain?
I'm worried for the crew. Psychers aren't the safest people to live alongside.
Oh, there's no need, Lord Captain. The crew learned a long time ago to keep their distance from me. They're afraid I'll stand next to them, and just like that, I'll hear something embarrassing. Ridiculous. Like I have nothing better to do than to snoop through their mind's undergarment drawer.
Where do you come from?
Lyra, an outlying world in the Heathen Stars region. In the Coronis expanse, the deeper you go, the less visible the Astronomicon gets, and the less people know about the Imperium. The arrival of a rogue trader is the best thing that can happen to a world like that. The very best.
Yeah, the Astronomicon is basically like this North Star thing, powered by the Emperor, that allows people to do warp travel. If you don't have that, which warp travel's going through hell, if you don't have that waypoint to help you go through hell, bad things happen. Worlds get lost. Routes through the warp get lost and you just get destroyed. Stuff like that. It's not good. Tell me about Lyra.
It's an out-of-the-way planetoid between two faint stars. On Lyra, a dozen local tyrants fight over 5 measly continents. But they use everything they can to win. From poison to psychers. I haven't been there in many years, but there's nothing for me to miss. Trust me.
Sounds like it.
But here on the ship is a different story altogether. I saw more wonders in my first year serving Lady von Valancius than I'd seen in my whole life on Lyra. Like my first journey through the warp, I was in bed for 3 days. I felt like supernovas were exploding in my head. I only found out later that I'd gotten off easy. Just through the bulkhead in the bay next to mine, a whole team turned into... Look at me rambling on, Lord Captain. Pay no attention.
You never finished your story about your first time crossing the warp.
It wasn't like it was a very fun trip, Lord Captain. But look, if you want to be entertained, I'm the woman for the job. I'll entertain you with one of the stories from my collection, no problem. But if you want to hear about the time I melted everyone in the bay next door, well, I just don't really want to go into the details on that one, all right?
Okay. What did you do before you came onto the ship?
Oh, I embroidered wall hangings in honor of our national heroes. I did the same thing I do here, Lord Captain. Divining. Our rulers prized the ability to see into the future. Every psyker that could be found was worth a small fortune on Lyra. There's no such thing as a peaceful life on Lyra. People like me were especially sought after. They'd pick psychers up wherever they found them, buy kids off their parents, even just abduct them. Take me, for instance. I got taken from my street gang. The older kids sold me when they noticed there was something off about me. The ruling dynasties had schools where they trained us and beat us black and blue. And then they packed us off to serve. Some of us held on for a long time, but others didn't last. Not everyone's as smart and talented as me, you know. Some people crossed the line and were out of commission before their time.
How did you end up in the rogue trader service?
Theodora von Valancius paid a visit to the ruler I was serving at the time. I don't know what the visit was for, and it's no business of mine anyway. I can still remember the way the voices in my head changed when I looked at her. They were practically screaming. She had so much behind her, and plenty ahead of her too. As I gawped at her, all of a sudden I heard a whisper. A hint, a suggestion, nothing more. But I know the difference between idle chatter and a real threat. I seized my chance and approached Theodora. I managed to whisper a couple of words in her ear before the wardens dragged me away. They beat me and locked me up. No wonder. It wasn't my place to converse with outsiders. And then Theodora's people came for me. They broke down the wall, butchered the guards. Also, I could tell them my warning in full. So I said the rest, but I didn't want to go back to my old life. And so I entered the service of the von Valancius dynasty.
Cool. Have you ever been off the ship?
A few times. Not many. And if I think about it, why would I want to? I've got everything I need here. All the whispers I hear are familiar ones. They almost feel like family. And if I want to hear about the nightmares off the ship, I can, after some Amisec. But don't go getting the wrong idea. If I have to, I'll follow you to the edge of the galaxy. Of course, Lord Captain.
You got a new story?
You bet I do, Lord Captain. Okay, so we went to Footfall once. Well, I mean, Lord Captain Theodora went to Footfall a lot. But on that occasion, she took me with her for some reason. My day had gotten off to a bad start. My head had been yammering since I woke up, but there was nothing else for it. I had to go. We arrived at the place, and what a place! All the gentlemen and ladies dressed to kill, showing off their encrusted implants, all clustered around little tables. Well, turned out it was a gaming den. And not just any gaming den, but one run by somebody with deep pockets for people with just as much cash to splash. You should have seen it. People gambling away planets in a game of regicide. Anyway, so the Lord Captain wanted me to help her beat some guy. So I tell her, the chips won't land in your favor. You'll get a bad hand. Don't sit down at that table, your ladyship. But did she listen? Of course she didn't. If there's one thing she never lacked, it's stubbornness. So they sat down and the cards were dealt. I'm hovering around like I'm not involved, but I'm keeping my eye on things. And everything in my head keeps getting louder and louder. Anyway, it's a good thing I realized in time that my mind wasn't going haywire over a losing hand, but something else. I made some excuse to drag the Lord Captain up from the table and took her away from that place. And a few minutes later, the room where we'd been... It turned out some wise guy had the same bright idea to bring a pet psyker along with him. One of those ones who just scuttle around in Footfall's underbelly. And the psyker just freaked out, I guess. After all the commotion, people went to see what happened in the room. And they'd all gone for each other's throats. Literally. With teeth. And I think they completely detached that asteroid from Footfall and pushed it off into open space so it would head off toward the local star.
Okay, this lady's crazy. What's it like being a psyker?
Lord Captain, forgive me, but it would be like talking to a person born blind about colors. I could spend hours explaining, but it wouldn't make any sense to you. Every psyker feels their connection with the warp in their own way. One person might see spots and shadows out of the corner of their eye. Another feels fingers running down their spine. As for me, I've got a door in my head. One that's open just a crack. There's no way to close it, no matter how hard I try. I've just had to get used to the whispers from the other side. When I need to use it for work, I listen in more closely. But I usually just try not to notice it.
How do you live with all this whispering in your head?
Training, habit, and a little amasec and a couple other things you can get on the lower decks. If you put all those together, it makes things bearable. Sometimes I even wonder if I'm imagining half the voices I hear. You know, when life on board gets a little boring. Better than listening to the living, anyhow.
What would happen if your door burst open?
Well, if the door opens, that means somebody's planning to come in, right? But screw them. They're not coming through. Trust me. I know how to keep my valuable head locked up tight.
That's what they all say. Aren't you afraid of losing control?
Only losers who are afraid of their own gift lose control. Or idiots who never figure out what they are before it's too late. Or little kids who want to play around with their shiny new toy. If you don't know the limits of your abilities, or you're always bouncing around in your own head, that's a recipe for disaster.
Can you see my future?
All right. That's what I'm here for, after all. So, I'm just going to lean on that door in my head a little more, prick up my ears, and listen to what the warp's got to say about you. If you'll allow it, I can listen right now.
Sure.
All right, let's hear what they're whispering about you. Seek not on firm ground, but in a golden hall suspended in the void. There waits a child without kin, but with a name blind to truth. She draws the brush across the canvas and does not notice that her palette is full not of paint, but of blood.
I know
And with each
this
smear,
one.
this well does not deplete, but fills and fills up to the brim. One thing is clear. When this vessel overflows, none will remain unstained.
I know this because I've done the first mission. I've not done anything after that. But the first mission, that's the first camp companion you can get. At least the one I know of, anyway.
Among the blind men and false prophets, a red-robed sage seeks the answer to a question. He does not know that it is not the answer he must seek, but the question that will draw everything into focus. Will you help him, rogue trader? But mark that sometimes ignorance is sweeter than oblivion.
That sounds like the techno master that we gotta get.
A chained hound chases after glimmers of the aurora, but sparks and the scent of oil confound his nose. The chain trails after him. What will happen if you pick it up? Will you become his master, or merely another beast in the pack of his true lord?
I think I know that one too, just because of the cover. That's probably talking about a space wolf. They're a type of space marine.
The glow of dawn bursts forth from its prison. Dungeon walls cannot contain the dark essence wallowing in the dust. A naive cub pushes his nose into a familiar hand, one that holds death in twisted glass. Cherish it or cast it off as a burden. The sword of change has already been raised. What is one more life to it?
I do not know that one. A cub. I'd go Space Wolf again because cub might be like... No, because that's a bear. I don't know that one.
I'm sorry, Lord Captain. The voices are going wild. I can't make out a thing. I'll try to rein them in, somehow. But for now...
I'd like to hear your augury, Idira. What awaits me in the future? I just did it.
Let...
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Lord Captain.
So
the
that's, I
voices are
guess,
going wild.
what the augury
I can't
is.
make out a thing. I'll try to rein them in, somehow.
Did you know...
But for now...
Okay. Did you know Theodora von Valancius well?
None of the officers knew the Lord Captain well. Not even Abelard, and she was always closer to him than anyone else. She told me from the off if I ever listened to anything in the warp about her without her permission, I'd be going out through the airlock. I'm not an idiot, so I never stuck my nose where it didn't belong. Only when I was asked. It's hard to wrap my head around the fact that she's gone. Lady von Valancius gave me everything I have. She opened the stars to me and the paths between them. I still think I can hear her voice.
Things are strained between you and Argenta, isn't that right?
The little sister is afflicted with her own set of voices. Ones that whisper to her about corruption and heresy. The silly girl doesn't realize that if she wants to find the source, she needs to start by looking in her own head.
Okay.
Of course.
Well, that's her dialogue. I think we're good to go. Yeah, okay, we can go one of two ways. I think I'll go here first. Because this is to the Lord Captain's quarters, which is now mine. So, I'm down for that. This hefty tome contains schematics of the flagship of House von Valancius, in addition to a plethora of notes, copies of reports, and other documents. This majestic portrait, painted by a skilled artist, greets guests who have been granted permission to enter the Lord Captain's quarters. I can't read that one. The coat of arms of House von Valancius is crowned with the text of the Oath of Rogue Traders, the Emperor's faithful servants. Okay. We've got a chessboard. The glinting of the displayed weapons is mesmerizing. You have never seen many of these articles before. I think we read that one. Liturgies, that word's hard to say, of the faithful to his word and name. The text below this solemn heading looks noticeably faded, and it appears that the prayer book has been kept open on this page for a very long time. The light glinting off the polished skull of some unknown Xenos makes it seem like the bony face is mocking you. Do I know that skull? That looks like a Necron skull. Anywho. Got some more stuff. We got the Negotiator pistol. Gives you +5 persuasion, plus attacks from this cause melting effect. I'll have that. Mark of the Ruler. A marvelous compact weapon in the form of a ring that allows the wearer to fire a single laser shot once per combat. The laser shot does 8 to 10 damage, 10% armor penetration for range, 100% over penetration. I think that means it can go through Try and see. I might have to just wait till it's in my thing. And then the Xeno Pelt Cloak. The wearer receives -5. I don't know why it says it like that. The wearer receives 5 less damage from critical hits, and the wearer gains +10 coercion. That's actually better than that one I have on. Okay, we'll collect those. The bookshelves are packed with ancient books, piles of papers, and tomes, many of which look rather worn. Okay, inventory. First off, I'm definitely putting that on. There. This is better for me just overall. And compare this to the pistol I have right now. That one does a lot more damage and armor penetration, but it doesn't have any dodge reduction. That can do 14 to 24, while this can do 18 to 27 because of rate of fire. Has 1 less range, but a lot more max ammo. I do like the persuasion on it just because. So I might have to put that on. And then I'll give that to someone else. Okay, let's see what else everyone else is rocking. We can give you... Who wants fellowship? I think you. And then I'll give you... somebody that's going to be weak to getting hit. And I'm going to say Abelard just because he gets in the front line a lot. So he's more likely to get downed. And then this is something. Yeah, no one has specific unlocks like he did. I'm pretty sure this is the same. Yes, the exact same. So honestly, I can put that in, I can put that in the cargo. I'm gonna give you that instead. I'm gonna put one of those. I was gonna put one in, but I guess split and put that in the cargo. There you go. I guess I gotta split it. I'm gonna park cargo management, range weaponry. It's not range weapons. This is here. Split. Put that in there. Okay. Okay, that's a name of people, I guess. Cool. The ticking of the clock is too quiet for its bulky size. Can put stuff in my vault that I won't need. What is this? Since it has a gold outline, I feel like that's a what's it called? Quest item. so I figure I'm fine with that. I don't think I need to deposit anything for now. Maybe later. The long dead eyes of the fierce monster forever capture the fear and pain of its final moments. Okay. Got more goods. What's this? Unfinished letter. His chagrin is irrelevant. Voigtweir's mistake cost me too much. Years of work, tremendous resources, all wasted. He has failed at what he was supposed to be. Irreproachable at uncovering spies, and this one was a senior officer. I'm not about to discard him. Kunrad has served me for too long for his removal to go painlessly for the Protectorate. Besides, he is no fool. He could not have seriously expected to become the next in the von Valancius line when his skills and talents as Master of Whispers are so valuable. Let his disinheritance serve as a humiliating but instructive lesson from which he may yet learn. Well, he didn't learn because he was a spoiled brat. Beyond the glass, the distant stars glimmer in the darkness of endless space, filling you with an odd sense of dread. Oh yeah, bro. Another thing. The final transactions with the Chartist are complete. The fiery reckoning is now fully... The object has been loaded aboard with its containment intact and placed in the forebay to ensure maximum contact with the target. Coordinates sent and received by the bridge. I don't know off the top of my head. I learned it. I'm good at binary and stuff, but I don't remember ASCII charts. I'm gonna guess that those are supposed to be letters, but I don't know them off the top of my head. Target's estimated time of arrival in the system. The fiery reckoning is crewed by a servitor hive mind? Chances of the ship returning are minimal. Estimated time... something. Interesting. I love number systems, but I've never really done the ASCII charts, which is probably something I need to do. The water's calming murmurs and warm steam feel inexplicably deceptive. A moment of weakness and rest promises nothing but danger. The master of ablutions. Okay. Yeah, look away. Look away! This is actually, I would do, like, if I had a bath like this, I would try this, but nope, that's for rich peoples. The soothing water caresses your senses, and your grateful muscles welcome the chance to rest. A pleasant languor spreads through your body as you allow yourself a moment of quiet relaxation. Relax and close my eyes. Attention slowly retreats as you bring yourself to complete stillness, joint by joint, muscle by muscle, pore by pore. Before long, you have surrendered the bastion of your body to the bliss of oblivion. Troubles, worries, loss, such things do not belong in this newly established dominion of tranquility. There are only the infinite waters of weightlessness in which, stripped of all things superficial, the mind of Ignatius II von Valancius drifts in silent bliss. It is a conscious mind. What fills your consciousness? Probably my iconoclast. Thoughts of those who keep him afloat in these waters, who will drown, and who will he manage to pull to the surface. Yeah. The strands of fate are fragile, yet woven together, they are strong. Not everyone is destined to see this voyage through to its end, but no one will be forgotten. The moment of serenity soon fades, the body reclaims the mind, binding it once more to the familiar shell of flesh, sinew, and bone. Address the master of ablutions. I wish to see someone from my retinue. Argenta, I guess. Hold on a moment. I'll try him. Okay, we're doing stuff. I succeeded. Okay, I bet if I failed I would hurt myself, but I succeeded my athletics, so I got experience. Good work. A healthy body is like a finely tuned bolter, a worthy instrument of his will. I will take my leave now. Rest and recover your strength. Talk to my enforcers, I guess. Sure. Orders received. I mean, if those people have to guard me, I guess they could relax for a little bit. Tell me about yourselves. Do you have any other responsibilities besides guarding these chambers? For hundreds of years, our clan has been responsible for ensuring the rogue trader's safety during times of leisure and relaxation. I guard the bath chamber just as my grandmother did before me. She trained me herself and instructed me in my duties. The bath chamber can be more dangerous than a battlefield sometimes. You can slip on a wet tile, you can choke and drown. If the water is too hot, you can burn yourself, and if it's too cold, you can freeze. There have even been cases where angry machine spirits have released sparks of their fury in the water, and of course, there have been numerous assassination attempts, and the woman stops abruptly as the other enforcer loudly clears his throat. It is reassuring to know my enforcers are prepared for anything. We live to serve your lordship. We'll keep you safe. What do you do in your free time? When we're off duty, we train, maintain our equipment, and pray at regulation-approved intervals. If we do have some time to ourselves, we might play some Tantolo, and Bran over here carves things out of soap scraps. Though, for the most part, we barely get enough time for rest, let alone leisure. Show me. The enforcer looks flustered, but he quickly gets to work. After a little while, he presents you with a bust of the Emperor about half the size of your palm. The Emperor's visage has been recreated with incredible precision and attention to detail. The small carving surpasses the work of many a skilled sculptor. I will have it placed in my study. I am not worthy of such an honor. Thank you, your lordship. You seem tense. Get some food and drink, I guess. You may relax until I'm done. We would consider it an honor. Okay, and I'm done. Basically that. I don't know why it's that. Like, Dragon Age and Mass Effect don't really do that for trying to talk with your crewmates, but you gotta go into a bath to talk to your crewmates. It's whatever. Okay, we'll go to the other. There's two other places in the ship. Basically, I think two. Well, yeah, two I've only been to. So I'll go to the chapelle. Sure. I think the chapel is a little smaller than the other one, because there's a lot to interact with the astropath chamber, because that's where we have our pilots and everything go through the warp. Oh, my bad. I'm in the wrong one.
Like I'm a leper.
This is the one I meant.
Just passing through, all right? So you lots can calm down.
Chill out, bro. No one's even looking at you. Yeah. The throne is furnished with a conductive charge supply and can be turned on into an instrument of execution at any moment. Yeah, so basically these guys help pilot the ship through the hell place and all that. And if they let their guard down and a demon gets through, you gotta be executed before they become a threat. So.
Done.
The machine uses its many quills to commit the astropath's whispers to paper, then sorts the resulting raw mental images based on their meaning. The back of the throne is smeared with something dark, red, and old.
I won't tolerate
Probably blood.
weakness.
We got auto quills and a machine spirit vaultlet. Those contain machine spirits, I'm pretty sure. Hand flamer cartridges. And that. Underneath the grill, you can see enormous outlines of formidable machines in a greenish haze. Here we go. The last beacon cannot be saved from the 13th storm. The last father's beloved son will open his yawning maw. He's taken over by a demon. Oblivion is inevitable. After the boundless sunset comes to the horrific sunrise, brought forth into a wailing world from the womb of... Yep. That happens all the time. It's normal.
Challenge for me?
It's sad, but it's normal. But then again, everything in this world is depressed and bloody, and you gotta just get used to it. I love the music, bro.
I rise to the
Once
occasion.
the text is ready for final interpretation, the compiler sends it to the choir master, along with a list of meanings for the unknown images. The mechanism rotates steadily, adding dry clicking notes to the chapel's melody. Protect us from the machine spirit's unrest, for without his gifts our sacrifice are fruitless. The engine seer, his head lowered, does not so much as glance in your direction. With his hands folded underneath his robe, he makes a barely audible, unpleasant sound, a prayer in Technolingua, which is the language of the tech priests. Yeah, it's like binary. If you guys have ever watched the Mass Effect playthrough, if you know the Geth, how they go stuff like that, it's basically that. It's meant to be faster than how we speak. What is going on here? The sacred compiler is ailing, your lordship. A gloom has come over the machine spirits, and they are disrupting the mechanism's operation. The 12th row of the drum is now adding incorrect symbols. The man shows you a stack of papers, and you notice at once that the row of squiggles in each line all end with the same glyph. We summon the servants of the Omnissiah, but the machine spirits are none too eager to heed their prayers. The esteemed engine seer is in a state of tech prayer trance, and hasn't moved from the spot for a day now. I had the audacity to think the sacred compiler could be better helped by examining its parts, but who am I to question the secret knowledge of the Adeptus Mechanicus? How did you let this happen? Forgive me, your lordship, but I do not know the answer. I'm afraid even the Adeptus Mechanicus don't fully comprehend the workings of this mechanism. We're only knowledgeable on the surface level machines. The receivers commit the messages to a paper, the transcribers sort the mental imagery by semantic category and feed it to the thesaurus code. And then the sacred compilers supplements the messages with a list of symbols and their interpretations. However, the mechanism extends far deeper into the bowels of the ship. Therefore, I wouldn't even venture a guess at the possible source of this trouble. Let us see if there is any way I can help.
None shall stand in my way. Excellence matters.
Nice. I fixed it. Mr. Sigma. Never mind.
I did fine.
The receiver's enormous reels direct paper tapes containing unprocessed text into the chapel's depths after the blessing the paper with an imprint of sacred cogs.
Done.
Nice. The sensors of the text correcting I can't read that fast. The voices blend in an unnatural unison. The longer you listen to the choral chant, the stronger your headache grows. I don't know, this actually sounds epic, bro.
Follow my lead. What in the world?
Strange, okay. Fix that one. Okay. Is that it?
This cannot be. I rise to the occasion.
Right now I'm just trying to find all the problems.
It's about time.
An endless stream of symbols fills the paper tapes. A deceased navigator's organ repurposed for the choir master's needs. Here is where process messages converge from all over the chapel. I don't know.
I'll lay claim to the stars.
Choir Master Zachary Weiss, a tall old man in a green robe, stands motionless in front of a conjugator. The closer you approach, the clearer you can hear his continuous, unintelligible whisper. You are about to call his name when he falls silent sharply and turns towards you first. Lord Captain, a visit from the rogue trader is an honor for us. How can I be of use, your lordship? Sanctioning is a brutal procedure, one which robs every astropath of the gift of sight, but in return they gain a new kind of vision that allows them to see what ordinary people can't. Yeah, so this guy's got that happened to him. The light emanating from beneath the bandages flickers with strange hues as the choir master clutches his temple. His expression shifts in a way you are well familiar with. It is the look of one who has glimpsed the grim signs that evil has left upon your soul. Yeah. Oh, did my nightmares scald you? No. Who are you? My name is... Okay, I was just looking at the flavor. My name is Zachary Weiss, your lordship. I am the choir master of the Astropathic Choir. I was posted to the ship soon after my soul-binding ritual on Holy Terra. You might say I have been serving House von Valancius all my life. How did you like serving under Lady Theodora? I served her for 2 decades and never knew another Lord Captain before your ascension. With her, I had been through many things. Lady Theodora had a good understanding of my significance within the overall mechanism of the ship's services. However, did not stop her from neglecting my warnings. So how old are you? If my calculations are correct, having factored in our movements through the warp, then I turned 34 a month and a half ago. You look a lot older than 34, but okay. Tell me about the Astropathic Choir. Of course, Lord Captain. Is there something specifically you want to know? What is this place? To us astropaths, this place is our cradle and our grave, Lord Captain. You are the conflux of every secret missive, every order of prime importance, every scheme being plotted behind the scenes. You are at a place where each of your loyal astropaths is ready to lay down their life for crumbs of information, if that is your wish. We receive and send messages for hours turning into days. We wander the dark depths of the immaterium, carrying our voice through the warp's internal night, bringing it to our comrades in some remote refuge. Accepting the voices, signals, and missives of others into our own abode, those are most often meant for you, your lordship, and at times they are meant for no one. What device is this? It is a sacred compiler that helps us record, store, and, to an extent, unriddle messages. The astropaths first receive these messages in the form of muddled images, dictating what they see to the machine, which logs their every word. From the reels of the receivers on the ceiling, the machine-recorded words are routed through lines under the floor into transcribers and then the thesaurus core. This core is the most important part of the mechanism, as it contains a vast catalog of various symbols and the methods of their interpretation. The compiler matches the images in the messages against its data and forwards the results to the central conjugator and myself so that I can begin the ritual of decoding. I know no other choir that possesses so wise a mechanism, and I praise the God Emperor for its existence. However, while the compiler hastens the extraction of intelligible meaning from perplexing imagery, an astropath must still open their mind to interpretation, which is no less perilous than the rites of receiving or sending an astropathic message. If your machine knows the meaning of the symbols, why can't it decode the messages itself? Regrettably for us all, Your Lordship, astropathic messages are not ciphered dispatches, but rather psychic imprints containing information. Only an astropath can read the entirety of something created through the medium of the warp. Furthermore, as messages pass through the immaterium, they might become distorted by malevolent intent. It falls to your servants alone to shield their mind with faith and separate the true meaning from the influence of the ruinous powers. So if you wanted to hide certain information from me, you could. My duty is to shield you from the monstrous communications that filter through the warp. The screams of the Emperor's loyal servants, centuries dead by now. The nightmarish, maddening images of the Sea of Souls. The cursed symbols that cause astropaths to convulse in violent fits of frenzy. The messages from abominations in search of weak minds to devour. Concealing all of that from you is my duty. How does one become an astropath? We were all part of the Imperial Tithe once. Psychers delivered to Terra on the Black Ships. The dreadful Imperial void ships that transport Psychers given up by numerous worlds as part of their tithe to the Imperium, which are either used for war, astropathing, or sacrifices to the Emperor because he needs to eat 1,000 Psyker souls a day to stay alive. Somewhat. It's weird. But only a few of the candidates had what it took to study astropathy. Fewer still successfully completed the grueling training to be eligible for soul binding, and almost none survived the initiation. We were given the privilege to behold the Emperor's light, a light flawless and searing. That changes you. It wounds you irreparably. It takes your eyesight, but in exchange you can commune with greatness. His presence in our souls fortifies them as we stand against malicious powers. After the ritual, an astropath is assigned their position. At this or that adeptus, an astropathic relay or a ship. More often than not, our first place of service is also our last. If something happens to your choir, where can I find new astropaths? It would be more on point to say when something happens. The Emperor's blessing protects us from the warp's various influences. However, there are horrors dwelling in the void, for which even this defense would be no obstacle, especially if one spends as much time in their company as we do. There is only one way to procure astropaths, and that is through the Adeptus Administratum. Luck permitting, unattached astropaths from the sector will be posted to the ship, ones who, for whatever reason, have lost their place of service. Failing that, the request will go to Terra, and we will have to wait a long time. That said, there are other options, blasphemous, forbidden options. Unsanctioned psychers, unprotected and broken souls who seldom live past their first few seances. But even those who would do, should the God Emperor put our souls through severe trials. And judging by how rabid the warp has been of late, by the number of dead astropaths, those trials will be upon us sooner than our prayers could reach Terra. Not good. I will continue the lore session next episode.